Besides the lounge lizard, there are lizards in incredible variety throughout the world. In bizarre and colorful costumes, these natural actors strut their stuff in deserts and in oceans. In forests, they frighten or seduce with spectacular display. The biggest stalk the earth as though they were resurrected dinosaurs. The smallest are shorter than a child's finger. Our imagination can see them as alien forms, but their origin and success is far closer to home, on planet Earth. And some are simply as cute as we make them. In a time so long ago, it's hard to imagine, reptiles explored the world. In an age before the dinosaurs, there were probably lizards among them. No fossil trace of them has been found earlier than 170 million years ago. But by that time, a variety of true lizards were sharing the planet with the so-called terrible lizards, the dinosaurs. In this great age of reptiles, lizards of all shapes and sizes were firmly on the path that would lead to the present day. Because true lizards have claws and scales and a superficial likeness to some dinosaurs, the two have been confused. But lizards are not close relatives of dinosaurs. They are a very different group of reptiles. The lizard's line of descent from the very first reptiles soon branched off from those animals that became dinosaurs and crocodiles. Some of the early lizards became ancestors of the snakes. But from then on, lizards remained separate from the other groups. All have survived into modern times. And if you like lizards, there are 4,000 different types to choose from, and some can still remind you of dinosaurs. The basilisk has that prehistoric look, but it's a lizard that's been walking on water for more than 1 million years. Lizards are a varied bunch. They seem to lack a lizard factor, something that they all have in common. And yet there's something about a lizard that signals what it is. It's not the scales. Other creatures have those. It's not large size. There are small ones you'd hardly notice. While many hunt by day, others only come out at night. And it's no good counting legs. Most have 4, it's true, but there are some that manage on fewer. This is no snake. It's a legless lizard. And there are lizards for all seasons. This one is lapping up ice and snow in Israel, refreshing itself in the spring sunshine. Most lizards bask in the sun, on mountaintops or tropical beaches. Caribbean iguanas have to sunbathe to get their bodies up to speed. Their cold blood needs to be warmed. These iguanas on a Galapagos island also sunbathe. But when the dinner bell rings, they leave the land for a seafood meal. clumsiness turns to aquatic grace as these massive iguanas head for the seaweed. The water is cold, but they've had to adapt to feeding on algae. There's little vegetation on their island. Sipping nectar in the Seychelles sunlight is far less strenuous. But most lizards aren't vegetarians. Chameleons like their meat. In the deserts of Arizona, the Gila monster also eats meat, and its bite is venomous. And the Komodo dragon of Indonesia, a truly monstrous lizard, has deadly saliva. Lizards can be scary.
Come back here!
Living with lizards can be the stuff of nightmares.
Hello, Mr. Lovable. How nice to see you. How are you?
But some people love lizards. 37 lizards allow Henry Lizard Lover to share their Los Angeles home.
Iguanas want comfort. They want their food. They want to have a certain place to sleep in. They have their little positions they like to get in. Collard greens for you people. Oh, hey. Let's put you right there. Okay. I saw everything in an iguana that you would see in a human.
Iguanas are Henry's favorite. To him, they're almost human. Perhaps they see him as almost lizard.
Hello, kids. I brought you some food. It's lunchtime. Come and get it. It's nice and wet. Come on, I know you guys are going to like it. Hello, my name is Henry. These are my lizards, and I love them more than anything. Many years ago, I changed my name to Henry Lizard Lover because I love these lizards so much. I wrote a book about them, and I do pictures of them that I turn into postcards and greeting cards. Stuff's very healthy for you. Lots of minerals, calcium.
Just like us, lizards need a healthy diet to look their best.
How about you?
But the difference is, they love their greens. Feeding them nature's best veggies and knowing what makes them tick is all part of grooming these stars for Henry's catwalk.
My main purpose is to show that iguanas are human-like. They're not some bizarre alien creatures that we have to fear or think of as creepy, germy creatures. Every iguana is a definite individual. They are all so different from each other, just like people.
So, Henry Lizard Lover treats his lizards just like people.
This is where some of my other lizards stay. These are baby Chinese water dragons from Asia, and they're doing really, really well. They need to stay in a dark place to feel safe. Okay, I'll leave you alone. I keep some of my lizards in these drawers. Actually, they go in on their own. They're called Solomon Island tree skinks, and there's a whole family of them in here. This is the mother that's had several of the babies. This is a whole family. Here's the male that the female mates with, and this is a baby from 3 years ago, about 3 years old now, and this is a baby they just had about 4 months ago. Look at this one. Look at this cute little baby. And they go in and out of these drawers on their own. This is one of my favorite ones. This male, I've had him for about 10 years now. That makes him about 12 years old. He was about 2 years old when I first got him. These are wonderful little creatures. I call this one lovable. Okay. I'll just put them back in their drawers. They come out at night. I didn't really want to disturb them too much in the daytime here. And finally, the baby. They'll come out on their own. This is one of my favorite large male iguanas, and I have to keep them in this room alone, separated from the other males, because they fight and they're very vicious towards each other. Okay, I'm going to leave him with the collard greens.
And he doesn't get a Henry lizard lover kiss either. Another of the 10 million people with pet reptiles in the U.S. is Phil Brower. Phil's Washington home is full of heated terrariums.
This is my bedroom, or other part of my reptile collection. Hey guys, how you doing? Sleeping still? I'm home, like it or not. Hey, oh, settle down. Where's her girlfriend? Is she still in here? There she is. You guys still getting along? Not beating up on each other? You guys are anxious. Here we go. Oh, me arm. Oh, those are good.
No one could be more passionate about his pets than Phil.
There we go.
He's addicted to lizards. And to feed and house them, he's just as passionate about his day job. He's a zookeeper in a reptile house. Millions are spellbound by lizards. And the key to their charm may be their color. But the brilliant colors in a lizard's skin are more about sex, threat, and disguise than pleasing us. The sort of catwalk they'll be strutting can be dangerously competitive. Chameleons are the most colorful of all lizards, and their colors can be changed quickly. But how is this done? The scales themselves are transparent and dead. Only when color is pumped into cells beneath them from pigment reservoirs below does a new color show. When the pigment is drained back into the reservoirs, the skin color changes back. The chameleon is more dramatic as a quick-change artist than most lizards. Colors and patterns change according to what mood the lizard's in. Dark colors and a rocking motion camouflage this Jackson's chameleon. A vivid display of color signals anger at the intruder. The trespasser lowers his profile and avoids confrontation. It was only looking for food. But the dominant chameleon is guarding his territory. His fancy outfit advertises his aggression. The exact opposite is not being seen. There is a lizard here, but only when it moves can it be seen on the tree. Combat fatigues owe a lot to animal camouflage. Advance and don't be recognized is the rule on the bark and under leaves. Earning medals for leaf-like camouflage is this leaf-tailed gecko. A crevice in the rocks is as good a hiding place as a tree hole. This outcrop is home to a colony of South African armadillo-girdled lizards. They come out to bask in the sun and to feed, but are ready to dive for cover, even when their pursuer has their future welfare at heart. Louise Visage of Stellenbosch University in South Africa knows how these lizards, if caught in the open, earn the armadillo bit in their name.
I work with great lizards. They live in crevices, which is really great because a predator can't lift those rocks. But what really makes this lizard special is the unique defensive behavior that gave it its name. And that is why it's called the armadillo lizard. Imagine biting onto this. As you can see, all the hard spines are pointing outwards and the limbs are covering the soft belly. So it simply lies there and waits for the predator to get bored. Then it uncurls and runs back into the safety of the crevice. That's the armadillo lizard.
The trick depends on a vice-like grip of the mouth onto the tail. Back to its crevice. But it will soon have to brave danger, basking out in the sun again. Which is what all lizards have to do, even the largest, the Komodo dragon. Being cold-blooded really means not having a constant body temperature like we have. Reptiles must warm up in the sunlight, which gives them the energy to become active. The first rays have hardly warmed the granite before a chameleon stretches its body out to catch the sun. Like a solar panel, the chameleon presents as much surface as possible to the sun and absorbs heat. On top of the chameleon's head, just under the skin, is a light-sensitive organ, a third eye. It's called the pineal eye and helps pass information to the brain about the intensity and duration of sunlight. Vital information that affects the timing of hibernation and mating. The two sides of a chameleon may look quite different. Here the left is dark, but the right side facing the sun has become almost white to reflect the sun and prevent overheating. As temperatures change, the chameleon constantly adjusts its coloration. In the heat of midday, it may become a whiter shade of pale all over to maintain its cool, and remains still in whatever shade is available. Deserts can be dangerously short on shade as well as food and drink. And yet hundreds of the world's amazing lizards survive on the burning sand. This desert lizard is just cooling his feet. When he can't take the heat anymore, he'll dive into the cool of a dune. To us, the cool of the sea might seem a comfortable place on an equatorial island. But for the marine iguanas of the Galapagos, the sea is a cold and risky necessity. They're descendants of South American land-dwelling iguanas, castaways that floated in on rafts of drifting vegetation. The only food for them here is seaweed, located offshore, in waters both cold and rough. Eating is not a simple task. To feed underwater, the iguanas must use their claws as anchors, hold their breath for as long as 20 minutes, and maintain enough heat in their bodies to keep themselves going. Loss of heat is the main threat to survival. Stay too long, become too cold and weak, and run the risk of being caught by a Galapagos sea lion, whose favorite game is catching iguanas. It's all in the timing. They must eat enough to sustain them for the day, yet leave themselves enough energy to swim the gauntlet and climb back onto the rocks, where they will sunbathe to regain their strength. Excess salt is snorted out, and everyone settles down to getting warm enough to digest their food. As ancient castaways, these iguanas adapted to their island life very well. They're lizards that know when to come in from the cold. For lizards, getting a grip means hanging on to trees and rocks. A three-horned chameleon has divided claws unique to chameleons. 3 toes on one side, 2 on the other, ideal on these thin branches. An alternative is having feet like tendrils, slender toes that this green iguana uses to clamber around trees in Central America. But the greatest feat is pulled off by some of the geckos. How does this tokay gecko, with its curious upturning toes, walk upside down on trees, ceilings, and windows? Each foot has claws and special pads, and it's the pads that hold the secret of walking up the wall. They're covered in millions of tiny hairs. The hairs are capable of hooking on to the slightest irregularity, even on glass. Each hair carries a tiny charge of static electricity that helps a gecko get a grip. Some lizards need to sprint. This agama will have to dash for cover if the world's fastest mammal gets seriously playful. And in Australia, this frilled lizard can scare off a would-be predator. The frills make it look bigger. It's a bluff, but it's a bluff that works. Lovington, New Mexico specializes in lizards that can run.
Today is the world's greatest lizard race, and it's part of our 4th of July celebration here in Lovington, New Mexico. Tell you what, guys, let's check that fence line right over there. It's the last chance to catch these lizards today, so let's see if we can get something. The World's Greatest Lizard Race has been a really exciting event that we've held every year. A lot of anticipation to it. The kids, you'll see them around town with buckets and mops and going through the lots, trying to find a lizard. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement into the lizard race.
They first started catching mountain boomers, whiptails, and skinks for the bicentennial celebration race in 1976. And it's no easier now than it was then. The tail was shed to distract the pursuer. No harm has been done to the escaped lizard. Most lizards are able to contract a special muscle to cast off their tail painlessly. A new tail will grow in a few months.
There are some people that have a tough time finding a lizard, and we do know that the pet shop sells those lizards, and they're not as fast as the wild type of lizards that we have here. Usually the winners are ones that are found native to this area. There's several different techniques in catching a lizard, and one of the most popular now is they have actually built traps or buried a bucket or a can underground with it open under high lizard traffic areas, and the lizard will be walking through that area and get caught. And
Come here, come on, Dad.
can you excuse me just a minute? I think we've got one. Great job, man. It's one of the whiptails too. It's gonna be one of the fast ones, man. You're ready. All right. Good job.
Y'all ready to rumble today? How many guys we got over here? We'll take 6 at a time. We're going to have a horn-toed race. We want the crowd to get into it, guys, have a little bit of fun.
It's post time.
They're off.
Let's give them some encouragement. All right.
Trainers may encourage their runners with feathers. Half the town has turned up to cheer them on their way. If any lizard eats other competitors, it's disqualified. Shoving is not approved of.
And first place of the world's greatest lizard race and a chance to go to Orlando, Florida, goes to Ryan Roberts from Lovington. Congratulations, Ryan. All right. Y'all stay there, guys. Let's get a picture here. If you can scoot back just a minute there, buddy.
In the everyday race for survival, lizards need good eyesight, especially the slower moving kinds. They need to see danger coming. Sight also helps lizards to find their own food. The swiveling eyes of a chameleon are able to do double duty. One eye can spot prey, while the other looks out for predators. This Namib chameleon is tracking a beetle. The beetle will be lucky to escape now that its movement and direction have been spotted. Once the beetle stops, the chameleon refocuses. Left and right eyes converge to provide range-finding depth to the image. Target locked on. That tongue is 1.5 times the length of the chameleon. The bulbous end is very sticky, and strong muscles pull the tongue and captive back into the mouth. Accuracy, stealth, and long-range surprise in unique combination. And once it's chewing, the chameleon begins scanning for new game in the African bush. Arizona. Enter the horned toad. Well, it's a lizard, really. It feeds on ants, but only 2 species of them. Their formic acid is essential in its diet. The lizard's camouflage is perfect. It finds an ant's nest and sits there, invisible, eating its fill for weeks on end. The city of Tucson, Arizona is home to a growing population, which must deal with a special local problem: the Gila monster. This lizard's saliva is venomous, so its bite is to be avoided, and there's no antidote. In this environment, a new home may easily be built over a Gila monster burrow, especially since Gila monsters can remain hidden underground for up to 2 years. The fire department receives calls on a regular basis.
I think people call for Gila monsters in part because they're afraid of them. They know that they can be poisonous. A lot of times people call out of fear for their animals or for their children, but I don't think they pose an immediate threat. Normally they don't bite unless they're antagonized somehow.
Gila monsters are becoming rare animals. Rural Metro, this private fire company, relocates many of the 500 or so that turn up in the city's backyards every year.
All right, there you go.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Some get crushed by traffic. A few will even find their way back, to the homeowner's dismay.
We'll take him somewhere within the same area that we caught him, hopefully within the same square mile, and we'll let him go. We try and let them go somewhat away from homes, but still in a nice desert area where he can survive. If we take them further than a mile where we found them from, that their survivability dramatically decreases.
The salivating dragons on the Indonesian island of Komodo would be a much more dramatic surprise in your backyard. The people on Komodo have had close encounters, a few of them fatal. The lizard's copious saliva is not venomous, but can easily be the cause of an animal's death. A sudden burst of speed can sometimes get the dragon into striking distance, and all it will have to do is to slash at a leg with its very sharp teeth. The saliva will do the killing. The dragon plays a waiting game. Its saliva contains powerfully toxic bacteria. The injured deer collapses from the infection and will quickly die. The smell of death brings the dragons to a feast. The dragons share the kill and reinfect their own saliva with more bacteria. Komodo is a long way from the world of Henry Lizard Lover. Anxious that lizards should not make people nervous, Henry takes a stroll on the balmy streets of Los Angeles. But there is a hidden personal agenda to his lizard evangelism. He meets a few new friends when he and his reptiles are doing lunch.
I love getting all the women to meet the lizards and embrace the lizards, and then sooner or later I meet women that embrace me, and I meet a lot of girls this way. It's always been a very rewarding thing. One way or another, I've met some really beautiful, fine women that love the lizards and love me.
He's about 10 years old.
Romance is also in the air on Komodo Island. This male dragon's eye has been caught by a female of similar size. For such formidable creatures, their courtship is surprisingly gentle. He's smelling her with his tongue. She seems pleased by his attention. He is cautious, needing to be sure of her receptiveness. He's not looking for a fight by mistake. Pawing her gently as well as rubbing her back with his chin, he woos her. But for all his attentions, she is still undecided. Something isn't satisfactory to her. Perhaps it's just not his day. Most lizards lay eggs after mating. These were laid by a green iguana in Central America. They've been incubating underground for some 90 days. Fully formed when they come out of the egg, these youngsters receive no motherly welcome. Every hatchling has to look after itself in a dangerous world. Maternal care is not part of this iguana's behavior. But the 40 newcomers from this clutch will be well equipped to survive on their own. In these vineyards in South Africa, there are lizards that do not lay eggs. Instead, the young of this Cape dwarf chameleon enter the world another way. This mother has been holding eggs in her body. The eggs hatch as they emerge, and the young lizard makes its way out. Cape dwarf babies are very small. The mother is barely 5 inches long. It's a catch-as-catch-can world. Mom takes no interest in their future. It can't fall far among the vines. She has given birth to some 6 to 10 babies, and all must find their feet on their own. In times past, chameleons have suffered when insecticides were sprayed on the vines or were killed by mechanical grape harvesting. But why kill so efficient a natural bug hunter? These days, money is saved on chemicals, and the chameleons do all the work. Plenty of chameleons means fewer pests. In these vineyards, they now look after grapes and Cape dwarf chameleons. The valuable reptiles are carefully removed before mechanical harvesting begins. They're taken to nearby woods where they can hunt while the grapes are gathered. They'll make their own way back after the harvest. In Central America, lizards are big business in different ways. These men in Costa Rica are hunting iguanas in the rainforest. Green iguanas are a traditional source of meat in a country with no large wild animals and where protein is in short supply. Today, they're also big money in the foreign pet trade. An iguana at the top of this tree will be caught by its own escape method. frightened, it will leap for safety. If it survives, it may become another of more than 10 million iguanas exported as pets in the last 8 years. In some countries, traffic in lizards is depleting stocks at an alarming rate. When night falls, lizards face new predators. They can be sitting targets for nocturnal hunters. And in a Mexican desert, even sunrise brings problems for a desert night lizard. Dusk and dawn are times favored by many predators for hunting. Too slow to escape, off comes its tail, and the scorpion has something for its trouble, while the night lizard lives to grow a new one. But the next tail it grows won't detach as readily. Unlike a cat, the lizard has only 2 lives, not 9. Scorpions, despite their sting, are not a problem meal for an agama lizard in Africa. It may have some immunity to the sting, but it's always careful to bite it off before it swallows. In Baja California, one lizard will eat another. It's high noon, and there's a standoff between a collared lizard and a side-blotched. The collared one watches only for movement, just like some dinosaurs are thought to have done. A chameleon seeking warmth at sunup finds enough energy to make breakfast of another basker that's not yet up to speed. It never knew what hit it, and the chameleon gets a full breakfast. In this dog-eat-dog world of lizards, is it possible that dragons eat dragons? The answer is yes, and it's his own family he's after. Young Komodos need to keep out of an adult's way. Being small, a youngster can climb trees, but the adult knows something's up there, and it may fall out of the branches. There's no point in waiting around. There'll be food elsewhere. Young or old, Komodo dragons are not animals you'd expect to see in a zoo.
no, you can't climb up onto my head. No.
Phil Brower and Kraken the Komodo are a favorite attraction at the National Zoo in Washington. This is Phil's rather dramatic day job.
I have a real good relationship with Kraken. She's by far my favorite animal here. She's not like that with everyone. There's a few keepers where she's acts a little aggressive towards, where she'll whip her tail or kind of puff up at them, which tells me they're also very intelligent animals where they can actually recognize people and almost bond towards them a little bit. Getting ready to feed Kraken now. Have a few rats we're going to go ahead and give to her. Dragon! We actually have her trained where I whistle, and she's actually come to the point where anytime she hears a whistle, she knows right away that she's going to get fed, and she'll start running back and forth. And I have some 4-foot tongs where I'll put the rat on the end of that and feed it to her. Oh, it's a rat. Oh, let me have it, please. Oh, you're so hungry, aren't you? Oh, I know. It's been a whole week since you've been fed. Oh, it's a rat. Got that faster than I planned. Oh, it's another rat.
Kraken gets well exercised being fed like this. Phil uses the grab stick because she gets very excited. But her bite would not be as dangerous as her wild relatives. Fresh meat does not give her the poisonous bacteria in her saliva.
You got the tail here. Not enough? Okay, never mind. See you later, Kraken. See you tomorrow.
Our fascination for lizards, large or small, is worldwide. Questions about keeping pet lizards pour into Henry Lizard Lover's home in Los Angeles. His lizard mail is never-ending, but that's what Henry and his lizards love.
I've got an email here from a woman that's telling me about some real aggression problems she's having with her pet male iguana. He was mellow in the beginning, and now he's starting to stalk and try to attack her. For the past 10 years or so, I've been getting so many letters and phone calls from people. They're always asking questions about diet, about behavior. A lot of times there are people sharing information about their experiences with iguanas. I try to help them when I can. Not all these behavior problems are easy to deal with when it comes to iguanas. This guy right here, this iguana, he's very mellow and easygoing, but things can change and become just crazy aggressive, like they're going to attack a human. And I'd like to show you what that looks like when he sees another male iguana. Let's go over here. I want you to see the potential problem there is with keeping some of these iguanas, especially when the males see other male iguanas. And this is why I keep them separate. Now I'm going to show this guy to 7 inside the room. They're really ready to do battle. These two iguanas would love to tear each other apart. They'd kill each other. Mr. 7 is really worked up. Ooh, boy, he's really worked up. He's doing the full tail waggle, and he's taking a stance. He's standing up. He's sucking in his gut. These are all the signs, the body language of rage and anger towards another male iguana. Now, they'll do this to a human sometimes and bite, and that bite is really intense. See, now that's not the time to try to pet him. Okay, wow. Okay, wow, that's really wild. It's a very wild, serious behavior. Now, this iguana, since he's seen other male iguanas, it's my theory, when the males are able to grow up as a captive pet and they see other male iguanas, then they won't be confused about a human and they won't try to attack a human. The problem is a lot of people raise these males alone without ever seeing other male iguanas, and that's when these male iguanas will be confused and they will actually attack and stalk humans and try to attack them and viciously bite them like they would another male iguana. But he's really a good guy. He knows that I'm not that other male iguana, and I'm going to put him down now and let him rest. Here we go. That looks good.
Henry Lizard Lover may take his love of lizards beyond where most of us would go. But colorful, diverse, and intriguing as these reptiles are, they can inspire all our imaginations.
This lizard here has a beautiful face with just the right kind of look in her eyes. And these are very nice proportioned hands and arms and legs. She looks great. She looks very human-like. Okay, that's good. Okay, hold it right there. That's good. Don't look at me. Look the other way. Those beautiful eyes. She will sit in any position I put her in just because she's calm and relaxed. There's no tricks. She's not hypnotized. She's not afraid. She doesn't think anything's going to hurt her in any way, and she's just calm and relaxed.